Sorry we're late.
Oh, we didn't want to be here.
We're busy trying out this new makeup trend.
Oh, me too.
Right? Pink for the win.
Where did you see this makeup trend?
I noticed it on Traitors and on Single Life.
Oh, see, yeah, I saw it on Big Debbie. She's my glamour icon, so whatever Big Debbie is doing, I'm doing.
Did you just call her Big Debbie?
Or Miss Debbie, whatever her name is. There's lots of Debbies.
Who's Little Debbie? Is that like the little yummy dessert? That's amazing. Well, I'm Violet, and you might know me from this podcast.
And I'm Acid Betty, and you might know me as Violet's brother.
We are a real-life brother and sister duo, and we are both totally obsessed with reality TV.
That's right. Welcome to our weekly reality rundown, where we try to talk about all of our favorite shows. Speaking of, what's on your feed, Violet?
Oh my God, there's almost too much to name. Luckily, a lot of the stuff is coming to a close, and we're going to have a brief moment where I don't need to watch so much television. So we had Southern Charm and The Winter House both wrapped up. Not a lot of drama to report there. Netflix did a binge and drop where it was like, boom, here's a new show that you've never heard of called The Trust. And within a couple weeks, it was over. So that was interesting. I mean, Netflix is definitely trying to... Well, The Trust is kind of like a amalgamation of a bunch of shows that we've seen on Netflix. It's like they're trying to find their footing. They're trying to find a formula that is their own. The Trust is basically $1 million is up for grabs, I believe, or $250,000. It doesn't matter. Some absurd amount of money is up for grabs. A ton of people or 10 people. Honestly, I don't remember the details. That's how quick a binge goes. But let's say 10 people are all in this beautiful mansion, and they're told day one by the host that they've already won.
So it starts and everyone's already won?
Right. It's, hey, you've already won. Congratulations. You're in this mansion, and unless you vote each other out, you will all be sharing in this pot at the end. However, we're going to tempt you during the time that you're here. The problem with this show is that other shows usually have some meat to them, right? So there's like competitions, or there are things thrown in there to stir the pot. This thing didn't have a lot of meat there, didn't have really a lot of substance. It was more of how quickly am I judging you as a person based on how I feel about you today or what you're wearing. And maybe I'll just vote you out based on that, based on all these assumptions I make about you as a person.
You know, it kind of sounds like all the horrible parts of Traitors that I don't like. But I rush ahead.
But I mean, there's that. So there was The Trust, there's Winter... I was going to say Winter Charm, but there's so much crossover on Bravo, it might as well be that. Southern Charm, Winter House.
Exactly, thank you, because that sounds like almost like a summer and winter. They're like, oh, we just don't know what to do, so we'll put one place in the winter, in the cold, and one in the hot.
No, and get into this, like, there's so much crossover on Bravo, which I love because I watched all the shows. I mean, that's how you know you watch too much, because it doesn't matter how much crossover it is, you know everybody. Because they had Below Deck on the Winter House. So they had like some of the chief stews that were on Below Deck on the Winter House. And then you have Southern Charm that's dating. Anyway.
It's very incestuous.
That's over. And that's what makes good TV. Most of these groups are that way. But when you have like the Vanderpump Rules on your left,
I want to get this straight. What makes good reality TV is incest.
Well, not real incest. But think about how popular the show Friends was. Right? Okay. That was really about a group of friends that just dated each other for years. And it seems to me as though a lot of these social circles that are on television, that's what they are. They're based on people with endless means to have a good time and travel and throw parties and be beautiful. And they're all just dating each other.
So a bunch of rich lesbians.
Yes, and a lot of the men resemble, pretty, lesbians. So, hey, it works.
They just date each other.
Yes, and they know it too. They talk to it on the reunions. They know it. But the thing is that you have like Vanderpump, which in itself, again, incestuous, because you have this group of like people that work in the same restaurant all dating each other. And that, Scandival just happened. Yes. That was Bravo. And then on the other side, now we're going to go, the most interesting thing on both of our feeds is the Salt Lake City drama. And that's on the other side. So literally, unless someone like murdered someone or they got into a fist fight on either of these shows, I don't think they had any chance. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like up to here with drama. So
speaking of Salt Lake City, the final, is it reunion or finale?
Yeah, reunion part 3.
Part trace.
Yes.
And the word on the street is that our girl is fired.
Yes.
That's like literally today. Like, I saw all these posts and I've seen people saying things like why she shouldn't be fired and this and that. And to be honest, I'm feeling very like gay boycotty. Feeling very like, well, if Monica does not return, I boycott the Salt Lake City. Goodbye. I don't even want to hear about it.
The people that are pro Monica, even if they're not pro her as a human being, right? Like, even if they're not a fan of what she did, most people agree that no one was really tuning into Salt Lake anyway.
Right.
Until Monica.
Right. I didn't care.
I mean, neither did I.
I don't even know who the other people's names are.
Honestly, they're up there for me. They're up there with Potomac. Like, I every time I see a commercial for them, I'm like, who are these women? Oh, yeah, that might be that Potomac. And I have to look up, I mean, forgive me geography, but I have to look up where the Potomac is even.
They
who knows, who cares?
I saw someone else say the Potomac is the worst cast. That was on some, like, Andy's, whatever, that live show.
Yeah.
He was like, oh my God, it was almost as bad as Potomac. Sorry, Andy. All right,
so on the Andy,
go ahead.
Right, so on the Watch What Happens Live, and in social media, basically everyone is taking this like high road, and they're claiming that Monica shouldn't be allowed back, because I feel like that's what it is. It's just someone decided that the morality place to be is against Monica. But maybe there's a chance. I don't know, Acid. I hear that you have a theory.
Oh yeah, well I was talking to you. My theory
that perhaps
is
Monica will come back.
My theory is, one, if she doesn't come back, the show's gonna suck. And then my second, and then add on to that, people are saying the reason.
And you're not gonna watch it anymore.
Right. And I'm not the only one. And because even when we were posting things on our social media and stuff, people were writing me and DMing me and responding to our Monica post, by the way, on our Instagram. And what you were saying is, and what other people were saying online, is that if she doesn't have friends, / if the group of girls don't want to interact with her, then, that's it. She's over. And other people said, well, they don't usually bring people back who are in jail or this and that, whatever. But then there's the mention of Teresa, who, she was on the show, went to jail and came back, and they love her.
I think jail just makes someone more juicy. That would be an out for me.
And then, as we were saying, the one woman, I see it sucks, I forget her name, who kind of comes in and out of the Salt Lake City. That's how much of a fan. I'm not really that big of a fan. But Mary, okay, she has the best reads. The only time it's interesting is when Mary or Monica is on the TV, is on the screen.
And Mary is a fan of Monica.
Mary, as far as I'm concerned, from because I didn't watch the show, is like a co-star to Monica. That's my understanding. My understanding is there's Monica.
Mary would not like that.
Well, I mean in the storyline, because Mary's doing her own thing. I'm not saying that Mary's inadequate.
Let me tell you something.
Mary's got her own thing, but in regard to the show, do you know what I mean? She comes in and she's like, I'm for Monica, fuck y'all bitches, burn. Bye.
Right.
I love them both.
Well, no, she's like, fuck you all, inbred bitches, bye.
Yeah. Right. And I'm not going to call you trampoline with eyes because your skin don't look that good.
Boop, boop. But you know what? I don't think you need to, get in touch and, maybe, get to know Mary a little more, because she is cray-cray. Let me just fill you in just one little thing that maybe you don't know about Mary, because regardless of, some of the other things that I know that you do know, she overheard her son having sex with his girlfriend in her house.
That. Yes.
Do you know what she said?
Don't, she was like, don't fake it. You're trying to, what is it?
Don't fake it, make my son think he's better than he is.
Yeah. She's weird.
Where is that? Right.
Okay, that's weird. But whatever.
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, I think both of us just want to know, is Monica going to come back next season? And if not, bye.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is if she doesn't come back, it's going to go, and then the minute they mention her name or bring her back on the show, it's going to be like, And then they'll bring her back.
Yeah, because people want to see what happens.
It's going to be like Nene Leakes. The minute she leaves, it's like, wah, wah, bring her back.
Oh my God, it's so true because honestly, like, who wants to see a whole bunch of middle-aged women kumbaya themselves to death? Like, okay, you all love each other. Click.
Two of those women I thought are the same. The only time I realized they're not the same is because they're sitting on the opposite sides of the stage. So, yeah. Seriously. They meld into one.
I thought you were talking about drag queens for a second. Boop, boop.
Oh, no. I didn't say 16. I said 2 of them. I didn't say all 16 melded together.
I didn't say 16.
Girl.
The shade. This season, we are talking about our favorite franchise, the queen of all the spin-offs, 90 Day Fiance. And we are really honing in on the Single Life Season 4. Today,
Yes.
we're talking about Episode 4 of Season 4.
Wow. You're good with numbers.
Hey, the math is mathing.
And this week, we're discussing if Jamal and Tim make friends for Veronica's sake. Doubt it. We're looking at you, Tim. Tumor Tim, that is. We get to know more about John and his girl, Megan. Chantel is still counting Mr. Football, not American football, to be specific. And
Yes.
Miss Debbie, not Big Debbie, herself, has a new man.
That's right. But there's no Natalie.
No.
And no Tyree still. Still no Tyree. So they're holding out on us on this episode, but that's okay.
Well, that's because he's still at that restaurant, week 3.
He's still waiting for his pie.
He's, you know what? By week 4, turns out he loves the bread. He loves the bread and he loves the wine. He's like, I asked for bread. It's been free, so I haven't left.
He's like, I just got a special order that souffle 30 minutes in advance. I just hang out.
So I'm just waiting for her to text me back.
Oh my God. So, 90 Day Fiance, The Single Life. We're going to go from Tyree, who's
Go ahead.
clearly like our favorite, one of our favorites, and the audience favorite because he's a sweetie patootie teddy bear. And we're going to go directly to John, Mr. Sparkles. I'm sure he's going to love that we call him that.
Yeah, he's a grown baby boy. Which I knew, but he's doing it. He's trying to get it done. So this week, overall, what I understand is first they meet up and she says, "I love you." And he says, "I miss you."
And she says,
You're not going to say it?
You're not going to say it back?
Yeah. And then more importantly, which was the whole point of his whole storyline this week, is that he brought all the vibrators and all of his sexual needs and no deodorant, no toothpaste, not the toothbrush, no shampoo, and no body wash. But he has a vibrator.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that, okay, if all your hygiene items might have been in a separate bag that you forgot and you left that bag. But what got me the most, what was the cringiest, was that he had that conversation with himself. He had that, acknowledged that.
Yeah.
And at no point do you see him going into the restroom and, unwrapping the little
Yeah,
soap
I know. Yeah.
and taking a shower
Or calling
what's
down
up, yo?
and being like, "Hi, do you guys have?" Because they have all of those things in a hotel.
They do.
Yeah. He just said, "Oh well, we're just gonna
Where
deal
is
with
that?
it. Deal with this."
Yeah,
And he leaves.
I mean, is he that dirty? Producers, I want to know.
He was
Did
then.
you just edit that out so that he looks that dirty? But then he even says to her, right? "Oh, I need a shower." And she liked it. Oh my God.
I know, just gross.
Megan.
But it's kind of like the opposite of what Darcy did. If you remember, Darcy went into the airport and she took 4 to 6 hours or something to get ready after the
Wasn't
airplane.
that long, but
They literally made it seem like that long in the edit, and they also said it
No,
was
I know.
hours. I feel
I know.
like it could have been at least an hour where she
no, I would give her an hour.
So that was
I
the
would-
opposite.
If she,
so.
right.
Anyway.
Don't we know it?
Anyway,
Don't we know
gotta
it?
bring
Someone
up my
that smells
favorite.
really nice.
So speaking of soap, I thought it was funny that someone mentioned that the taste of cilantro tastes like soap. So some people don't like cilantro.
Oh, I actually wrote down, have you ever heard of that? 'Cause
No.
I haven't.
I've never heard that either.
And I didn't care to Google it either because that's how much I care.
And then, but the one thing I did Google is, did he actually fuck a pumpkin? I'm just kidding. I didn't Google it.
But how fucking crazy, how gross am I? Because I'm over here like, well, did he? Did you find out?
And no one knows. We don't know because he said it was a joke, but he was saying it a lot of times. I think there's a truth in that.
I think there's a lot of truth in a lot of things that he does. I mean, if that's him at his best on camera, then imagine who he is in just life.
Yeah.
You know, when no one's watching. Like, that's a gross, smelly man.
And then by the end of it, I don't know if I'm rushing through. By the end of it, you know, she says within 6 months, I want to be married. Otherwise, there's no point in this.
Well, I mean, at least she's being...
What do you think? 6 months? Marriage?
I think that's unrealistic, but I think that he definitely will know within 6 months if he's in or out.
Yeah, but he also said that
I don't like ultimatums with that stuff.
Yeah, me neither. But, you know, everyone has their own little crazy traumas, and he added that he did get engaged early, and he doesn't want to make that mistake again. So, there's no other details to that story.
There's a big question mark on that. I don't know what's up. I don't know.
Yeah, so that was it with my Megan and Sparkles. You know,
Me too.
They have a lot of sex. He collects a lot of vibrators, and don't expect him to bring deodorant or soap.
That was one of those episodes where if it was like a scratch and sniff, you can smell the episode.
Yeah, like, no. Gross.
Like the alpaca farm. Only not as cute. Give me the alpacas instead.
Oh my God. So shall we move on?
Okay, so we're gonna go from beast to beauty. Right? Because we're gonna go from John to Chantel.
Debbie. Oh.
Oh.
You said beauty, so I assumed it was Debbie. But yeah, we can do Chantel next.
Sure.
So, you know, the one important thing that I have with Chantel, she's so much in love with her Greek man that she speaks Spanish to him.
That was amazing. She's like, oh, sorry. Oh, such an American thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? I immediately was like, oh, here we go again. Like Miss Chantel, shitty at conversation.
Yeah.
Like really pretty. And I think really smart, like maybe book smart, but socially awkward. I mean, she literally is just sitting there like smiling. So.
Yeah, and then
really, babe? Is that all you have to offer?
Well, and then she finally started to realize that she knew nothing about Greece. And was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I put Rome and like Greece together. I just don't. Can you explain that to me?
No, but can you explain to me how you can say that because you like the movie 300?
Well, and then she goes, oh, Spartans.
Right, and then this real Grecian is like, here's my culture. And she's like, oh my God, like the movie 300? I love that.
Yeah. I rewound it because I was like, did she mention the movie? I'm dead inside.
She literally says like 300.
I know. I'm dead inside.
And then she adds weight to it, right? Then she says, oh my God, we're like totally connected because of the Spartan thing. Like now I know we're just totally meant to be together. And I remember thinking like, does this guy know that he's being sized up for a tuxedo?
I don't think she's moving
She's
that
like
fast.
having babies with him, and he's like, when are we going to have sex?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think that he's thinking anything like that. I think it's all about...
She's still like on her husband's checklist, like, okay, well, yes. Yeah, and our children be beautiful. And what's your last name? Oh, my name sounds great with that last name, you know? And he's like, so you leave in 7 days, huh?
Well, good luck to her. I mean, I know what she said in the... I don't want to move ahead, but what she said in the coming up was like the only thing that I like took note of.
Which was what? Remind me.
She says in the coming up, she says,
"My look on your face right now.
My ideal man would be an orphan." Like literally, I'm like, I'm gobsmacked because that's the opposite of what I'm thinking and feeling. And that is the last thing.
Once again, you should always consider your audience, right? Like, you're in a country that's not the Dominican Republic, but as far as like cultures and family ties and things like that,
Well,
that's not something you mess with.
that's what's coming
and
to
she
my
literally
mind.
is looking at. She's literally looking at this man like, I wish your mother and father were dead.
yeah, she's going into a culture that for all cultures should be, which is they hold generations and their old people with respect. And
Yes.
she's like, ew.
It's so weird because she
Ugh.
treats it the same way like I used to, when I was really young, let's say in my 20s, and it was just right off the back, I would say I'm not interested in men with children. But I didn't feel like that was a gross statement. I thought that was just me being selfish statement, right?
Right.
But when you say to someone, I wish you were an orphan, like I wish you had no family. They're just gone. That's almost just cruel and mean.
It's cruel,
Like,
and then
what
it
are you
reminds
talking
me.
about?
I just went over that relative race, and I got to meet a few people who didn't have family, and like they're like on a race to find their family, and she's like, I wish I had one of
Okay.
those. Like, no, girl.
Well,
Why
it's
would
really
you wish
easy
that
for
upon someone? Is my point.
But by the way, it's really easy for someone that has completely, overwhelmingly intrusive parents and a brother.
Totally.
Like, by the way, maybe you should, give that information that, hey, I wish you were an orphan because I'm not going to be interested in your family at all. But my family is so far up my ass that I'm almost a puppet.
Yeah, and she's lucky she's in Greece, so God bless her. But
No, and you know what? She has a good heart. You can tell. She's struggling right now.
yeah. And next up, we have the real beauty of the single life, which is Debbie, who is wearing
Miss Debbie, honey.
like a gorgeous peacock outfit. I don't know why I noticed her outfit because I liked
Well,
blue
this is when
with a peacock over. Yes, love it. Yes, girl.
This is when I was like, oh my God, there's that makeup trend. It's really happening. It's like spanning generations.
Me too, actually.
Boop. Boop.
I was like, this looks good on every generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gender neutral, fabulosity.
So the episode starts and Debbie already ditched a man and got a new one. It was so fast that we have no footage of her finding a new one.
That's it. We have no footage of Miniature Golf Man.
She was
and
like...
it's all about...
Yeah, she went to bed and woke up with a Cuban man.
And she woke up with a man that literally looks like he's 10 years younger and way naughtier. He gives me like warlock vibes. Like, arr. I almost think like, what's up? What are you doing with Miss Debbie?
I know what he's doing with Miss Debbie. He's like an older man who's like frisky and crazy, and she's frisky and crazy. Obviously, because she's getting up and going.
He's fun.
She's getting up and going. So not only is she getting up and going, but she's going to pack her annoying son with her.
But I just want to point out that I was right in that he says that the reason that he wasn't interested in Miss Debbie was all the information about Osama.
Who said that?
The miniature golf guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, maybe that...
She says he called and said that he just had this issue with how old he was and all these things. And I was like, surprise, Debbie. That's why you don't tell them that on the first date.
But not only tell them that, but then it's like, but then you can't be mad with other men of your age looking and flirting with women who are younger if your last boyfriend was 22.
Like, your boyfriend was younger than your son. That is so...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so we leave Debbie with her gonna go to Miami, and she's gonna have her police son with her. Cop son.
Yeah, and he'll fit right in with Miami. Oh, yeah, so the only thing I wanted to say about Debbie and her son, her cop son, is that... It rings in my ear that the cop was like, I won't interfere. And I'm like, yeah, that seems to be your nature, mister. I'm going to get on a plane and go on a date with my adult mother.
That's it. I'm not
Don't interfere.
I'm not going to interfere after I told you all these things. And I'm going to go with you.
You won't even know I'm there.
But I'm going to go.
Oh, sure, dude. Okay.
So what's his name? Because he gets a tumor, the word tumor before his name too now. We got Tumor Tim and Tumor Debbie's son.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what his name is. I don't think I ever write it down because I'm not a big... Oh, his name is Julian.
Tumor Julian. I don't like that.
Tumor Julian. We'll come up with something else.
Julian the tumor. I'll figure it out.
Julian the germ.
And then last but not least, we have the star of
Oh,
your
not
show.
least at all.
Oh, not least? The most.
We're talking Veronica and Jamal, right?
Yeah. And last but most of all, apparently.
Last but most of all, because this was the most interesting of the episode.
Was it? Well, okay, it was the most interesting of episode.
I wanted to see.
I know, but nothing happened. She picks him up at the airport. She picks Jamal up at the airport, right?
Right.
And the best thing is she was like, I really wish y'all could get along, or Tim's going to come along. And he says the best line, which is, when Tim comes in the room, everything goes gray.
So true.
Which is true.
So
right? We discover, at least I discover that, because I'm taking notes, that her daughter is 16 years old.
Yes.
Now, if this girl is 16 and not burning the house down or bringing like skinheads as her 4 boyfriends over at this point, she's got a good daughter and she could let Tim go. I'm not even gonna say it now, but it's like, now, Tim, you were a great dad. Tim, maybe you should move out because my 16-year-old girl is not crazy. And she's not going to turn crazy, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm going on a rant. Between 16 and, you know what I mean? Like, and if she does, that's called adulthood, mama. Anyway, I had a lot of more things to say, but like.
Well, I'll start here. Okay? Let's start with the date, with the meeting. Because that's like where the juice is, right?
Right. You mean the meeting on the pedal pub?
No. Literally at the bar when they're about to meet, when the friends and Jamal and Tim, like when everyone.
Okay, so they do the pedal bar first and then they meet Tom after, right?
Yeah, did you have it? Because I don't feel like the pedal.
Would you do a fucking pedal bar?
Okay, so.
Doing all that fucking work, I do not get it, and doing this and having fun and drinking, I don't think so.
There are some of these like activities that are like very like kind of like, I see. The thing is, I don't want to insult anyone. It's just there are certain things I don't participate in, and that's one of the things I don't do. I think it's stupid.
How
and it's basic.
Are you insulting someone by saying you don't like a pedal pub? Like,
because it's one of those things like living where I live in the straight world. These are like these super cheesy things. Like alcohol and drinking is such a part of what you do for, right?
Yeah, but
there's so many things out there that
people. If you're like, you're not saying you can't drink and wear a Santa costume during Santa Hoo Hoo. I'm just saying pedal pubs.
No, pedal pubs is stupid, but like that's totally a Veronica
drinking
thing
on the road like that seemed cool. If it was, I even looked it up. I was like, are these things motorized? Because I saw that they're braking, like a proper brake, and so they're chilling with traffic. But they are totally just pedaled. So I'm like, hell to the no. Am I going to be enjoying myself if I have to exercise and drink? That's all I have to say about that. Sorry, but we can move ahead to the meeting. I was just like,
no, you're right. It's stupid, but like I've been, I'm in a place where like small town, these people do stupid shit, and it's all revolving around. Can we come up with a creative reason or excuse to drink?
Yeah.
Oh, look, we're doing an activity. Oh, look, like I remember I had a friend that the entire day was, do you want to get together and do something? And then I'd get together with her, and it was just bar hopping, right?
Yeah.
So really, you're just going from chair to chair to chair.
I had a friend like that.
So that was very much like, oh, you guys are so boring. You don't even have hobbies you don't even have your own interests in order to spring from. So what do you do as a group? You drink, That to me is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit. Anyway, that's why I was skipping over it, because I wanted to talk about the introduction part. Because there were 2 important parts before Tim shows up, when they're at the bar, when Jamal is speaking to his friends about Tim.
Right.
He goes out of his way to clarify that it's not his biological daughter.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Okay.
So Veronica is like setting up her relationship to this guy, who he is. He's like been the father to my daughter. And Jamal literally goes, not biological though. So I was like, and then I laughed. I actually let out like a whole guffaw, like, aha, when he was like, Timothy is coming. And she was like, he doesn't like to be called Timothy. And he said, great, so we're going to call him Timothy.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote down in all caps, ask that I
me
see
too.
you.
I wrote it down. It says Timothy. That's all I wrote. It says Timothy. He hates that.
And then he's like, right, that's why we're going to call him Timothy. And I was like, that is
Tumor
such an ass of
Timothy.
Betty thing to do.
It is. I literally wrote Timothy. That's all I have.
Yeah.
That's my only note. That's so funny that you said that. That's all. Shady.
So that's
McLady.
like really, I mean, to me, that was interesting because I was like, okay, I see you. But yeah, then Tim shows up.
Yes, and very pleasant. I thought that he was very pleasant and nice. And I thought Jamal was
Yes.
very pleasant in saying, I still don't understand what it is that you have against me and why I'm not good for Veronica. Like there's
Right.
What is it? There's nothing here.
And were you able to discern any direct, clear answer to that? Because I wasn't.
No, he just then allowed to get himself like upset when the daughter was mentioned, so no one would think about that.
Which, okay, so that in itself has me wondering
Because
Jamal
that's
clearly
all that Tim has, as far as I understand.
But look how Jamal is like,
Jamal
yeah, because you're real father.
was it? Yeah, don't pretend like you're father of the year.
But I'm saying they never ever speak to. We don't know
Details?
anything about that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we
no.
don't actually know the relationship of that. So the fact that Jamal just said that, I feel like for the TV audience, it's like, oh shit, you just opened up something that none of us knew, thought about, considered. That all this
Right.
talk about, oh, he's in my life because he's wonderful and I depend on him. Is he though?
Yeah.
Or is
right?
he as shitty in life as he is in his persona? Like that, wah, wah, wah. Maybe that feeds into everything, the doldrums.
By the way, when I do this Timothy look, right? Does this makeup not accentuate how good? Like this makeup is really, even as Tumor Timothy. Yeah, no, I think he definitely opened up something like maybe he was a wife beater. I'm just joking. There's no
Oh my God,
way.
we're the worst.
There's no way because we know that Veronica would be like, no.
It doesn't even need to be Veronica. The man only dates Latina women, and I don't know any woman that couldn't beat his ass. That
No,
guy.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, he's not that kind of girl.
He's such a little slug.
Yeah, I'm just joking. Now let's move on. Now that we've covered all things love, let's switch it up and talk about model murder. And when I talk model murder, I'm talking about Traitors, to be specific, the show.
Yes.
US version, because there's apparently 17 other versions for every other country that exists. There's probably like 72 other Traitors, but we're going to talk about the United States one, right?
Yeah, it must be similar producers to like RuPaul's Drag Race. They're like, let's put one in every country.
And there's like Traitor
Traitors.
All-Stars and
Speaking of drag queens, Traitors.
and Traitor something, Traitor versus the world.
Speaking of lots of people with makeup and lots of outfits,
and
Traitors.
lots of lies. There have already been lots of murders, banishments, and betrayals, and we are only on episode 4, technically week 2.
Yeah.
And not half the cast, but a good amount of people are already dead and gone.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, when I watched this episode, I finally got a sense, because this is my first time watching the show, I got a sense of what the rhythm of the show is. Because I know last week we were like, here and here, and then this one was dead, and then and I realized, because I didn't understand that there was a murder and a banishment.
Yes.
I mean, I did, but they were kind of getting so mashed up with the first 3 episodes.
You're also, we're not used to reality shows that get rid of 2 people an episode. That's a lot of loss.
That
to
too.
be losing 2 cast members.
Yeah, because I was waiting for them to be like, okay, next week. I'm like, oh my God, no, they like get rid of 2 people, and wow, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So is there ever a time where they don't banish someone? Like, or is it always a banishment?
I mean, there's always like a possibility for a twist. This is only season 2.
Okay.
So I
yeah,
can't really
was
speak
curious.
to predictability of the show yet. Like, I don't think the show has done enough. They haven't been around for us to be able to speculate on patterns. There haven't been any patterns to emerge, It's not
Right,
like
okay.
Survivor where you can say,
Yeah.
The producers usually show their personality. I don't know. Traitors is still very up for grabs.
So
I don't even know how many traitors there are going to be.
Oh, interesting. I wish, since we're on that, this is a side note, I wish there was a secret traitor
Me too. I
That's
totally
all.
forgot about that.
I don't know if there is one. I wish they would invent one because I like the fact, and we're not even diving into it, but now that I've seen the whole full, like a whole full episode, and I felt like as a viewer we know too much. I know that
You
sounds
know,
weird. Is that weird?
no. I agree with you. I felt the same way because I remember when I introduced you to the show, I described it as similar to The Mole. But I felt the same way when I was watching it again. I was like, oh, it doesn't have that element of I get to participate
Right.
in the game and try to figure out who the traitors are.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's like they've robbed us of an experience that they could have just let that in. I mean, yeah, it's cool to see the relationships of the traitors because there's even backstabbing among them. But perhaps this is a show that's still finding its footing, so we'll see.
Yeah, like
Maybe
well,
there
like
will
you
be
said, in this episode, they're starting to set up some backstabbing that happened on this episode, which could be interesting, and maybe that's why, because that could be a major storyline. But I'm just saying they could still set it up to where we just see cloaked people and hands, and maybe it's a woman, maybe it's a man. You know what I mean? And they could even reveal one person, and the one person could be talking
you know
to.
what
I'm just pontificating now, but I'm like,
no, I
do
agree.
feel like
they could.
I feel like there should have been a mystery one because this would make our conversations better too. Because also we could be like, well, I think it's who, or whoever because of these things, And this show, they're kind of like, they've told us everybody, so we know both sides.
No, I completely agree. And I've already lost what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Stone, put the weed down.
So
no, I completely agree. Because they could. Oh, what I was going to say is, I completely agree because they could have done what other shows have done in the past. For example, perhaps at the very end of the show, the reunion, the finale, whatever, do like the playback where they show us those conversations. They show us.
Yes.
Because even on Big Brother has gotten so kind of like complex because as it continues, the players get better, right? They get more savvy. So now they have these votes, and then they'll have the next episode. It'll be like 20 minutes before that vote.
Right,
you
because,
didn't see this going on.
something happened. That's what I'm trying to say. So imagine if, like this episode, we don't know who's poisoned, this and that. And all of a sudden, oh my God, Ekin-Su, right? She gets killed, and we're shocked by it. And then we don't know who or why. They could share that with us now, or they could literally, all this crap that we're slowly getting to, the fact that like it ends with like Phaedra warning them, like that could still be quiet. And then there could be like another craziness. And then like you said,
full-on reveal
later
episode.
on, that like literally the minute, like let's say they like we only know one traitor, let's say, and then all of a sudden someone we didn't know reveals that gets banished.
Yeah, we
and they're
don't
like,
know who
I'm
they're
a
working
traitor.
with.
And then they go
Yeah.
and let's show you why this traitor got caught up in the cuckoo cockiness.
I'll give you a good example. Do you remember The Mole? Do you remember this very recent
I'm that
season
old.
of The Mole?
And I saw the recent one, yeah.
No, but the most recent season, that's exactly what they did. We didn't know who the mole was.
Yeah.
And at the very, very end,
they showed her how she messed up
all
things.
the moments. Why don't you do that? Or even like a typical, like a mystery thriller suspense movie, like a Mission Impossible or something. It's like this is, or Ocean's 11. This is how they did the crime, and then they show granularly, like how everything worked out. But I don't need to, like you said. You're right. We're missing out on something, but we're in the beginning of the season, and a lot of it's still up in the air.
It could reveal itself, especially because
maybe they'll do that.
What I was saying is that as it started to end, was because you were saying before that these people don't know who Phaedra is. Who she is as a person, and she let them kind of know. And what I'm hoping is that she really lets them know more, because literally the first thing out of her mouth, they dropped the hoods and they went it all cute. And I thought she was going to wait for them to say something. And she was the first one to say something. And she was like, why'd you say that?
Yeah, honestly, I was more kind of amused at how Poverty gave this kiss and said "I love you," and I was like, that is such a Black Widow move. You know what I mean?
To who?
When she actually, Well, when she actually gave the chalice to Ekin-Su.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's actually kind of funny. And then when Ekin-Su came in the morning, I mean...
Yeah. I would have been
That
like
was funny.
gobsmacked.
They both looked at each other. Like, Phaedra looked gagged.
They all,
and
even Dan's face was like, they all were kind of like, oh.
Right. They were like, what? And they were like, oh, shit, she's resurrected.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
It is funny.
I like the fact that they're surprised, too. That they were like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. And then they dramatically tell, and then Alan Cumming dramatically says that there's going to be a public funeral or a public ceremony, if you will, and they do this whole walk around with clues, which I thought was pretty funny.
I really liked that. First of all, I loved what he was wearing this episode for the funeral march. That was amazing. And I thought the funeral march itself was so morbid.
I thought it was fun. Yeah, it was.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
The best
that was
part
a brilliant idea.
The best part was the choir singing the clue.
Oh, no. It was it was amazing. You could even tell that some of the castmates kind of wanted to laugh because even they were like so amused by it.
Yeah.
But then they were trying to like stay in character or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, Ekin-Su, though, her reaction the whole time was so surreal. It was like, is that Teresa the psychic? Who is that? Isn't that her name? Because she knew it was like, remember, she's like, oh, I can feel the voice. And I was like, she's like narrating her own death and she doesn't even know it. No one else was acting that way. I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. I think she knew something was up.
But how?
I don't know. Well, she knew something was up, and then when they did all the votes, everyone had to basically vote who they thought was going to die, and they all put their roses on MJ.
Right.
So no one thought it was going to be Ekin-Su.
Well, do you remember the question about the age? About who's...
I don't recall what the question was.
Okay, but...
Because then it ended up being 4 people.
Yeah, but the best part of that question to me was Sandra.
And she goes, she don't look the same age as me.
Yeah, she goes, she thinks Larsa looks at least 10 years older than me. And I was like, I bet Larsa's fillers would differ with you.
Yeah.
Like, that was a read from some really normal looking person with braces to say to a real housewife that's completely worked. Girl, you're looking 10 years older than me. Like, ooh, you did not make a friend. Larsa is going to watch that. And
sometimes that work does give you age.
Oh, I'm aware because I remember that once upon a time, many years ago, I was watching, Housewives of Atlanta when they first came out. And Kim, I remember finding out that Kim was younger than me, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and her face now is pretty incredible, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, her and her daughters, like the technology has definitely caught up. I want some of that.
Yeah, they really did it all up together on that.
I need
face.
to start playing the lottery. Well, I wanted to know, first of all, I had a couple more notes because Trishelle is up to her nonsense again.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she is.
Because this is another place I saw the ridiculous look of this pink eyeshadow was Trishelle.
Well, Trishelle is a fashion icon, so good for you for noticing.
Yes. Yes, her and her Argyle with her pearls.
She's breaking boundaries with that Argyle.
Yes, she's breaking boundaries. I'm going to break her something. She, once again, accuses someone. She's always accusing people.
Her and then someone else, and it was very the same thing, a very witchy hunt, which was like very like, white girl, I just don't like these people. That's why.
Right.
That's why they're a traitor. I just don't like them. Is all.
Well, they made this
she wasn't
face,
saying that,
and
but
that
that's what they were
face
saying.
Made me uncomfortable.
Oh, they're overreacting. They're overacting. That's what I was like.
What it was.
Oh my guy. Goodbye.
She did it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I wrote, she was talking about Ekin-Su at one point, and I was like, well, aren't you going to be surprised when Ekin-Su actually does die? You stupid bitch.
In real life.
So I wanted to know, are you claustrophobic? How did you react? Would you have gotten into that coffin and let him shut the door? Because they slammed that door.
Okay, they slammed the door, but not to pull you out of it. But did you see her inside as the door was closing?
I thought I did. I thought
Check. Roll the footage.
Okay. Well, if you also rolled the footage, you know what else I saw? And I was like, I bet, I literally was like, I bet Acid saw this. Because when they did later the scene where they're burying her and they're putting the dirt on top, you can see in the far, like left corner that the coffin that was in the ground that she was probably in was over here. And this was a whole other coffin. Like, there's no way she was even in that coffin.
Oh, really? No, there was I thought they kind of left an empty space to make it look like... But there's no way that she's inside. No. And I only say that because that's also with that Squid Game knowledge, where none of the contestants fell through and certain things. It's like it's just editing. Yeah, you assume she's inside because you saw the door close and this, but she girl now. Because if it was inside, she would have been. That box would have been shaking. She would have been kicking and screaming, and she would not have been like, okay. Yeah.
Well, that's what there's no way you're gonna get me to. I'm not allowing you to actually. I might get in the box, but that's about it. You're not gonna be putting dirt on me and shit.
Yeah, that's some weird ass shit.
Yeah, no.
Very weird. And then not only is it weird, but Phaedra, who actually I think she owns a mortuary. She wants to get into the business of death. She says it's just too gruesome. Oh. She's also religious, and she says Jesus. Oh Jesus, Lord, oh Jesus, which I thought was using the name in vain.
Like, they check on her and they're constantly making sure she's okay. And I'm like, these people have no idea who she is. She actually is a mortician. She's been a mortician for years.
Right.
This woman has no problems with any of this.
She says,
will put you in the ground.
Too gruesome for me. And I was like, a mortician? Really?
And none of the housewives speak up. Someone say, you know what I mean?
That's like a drag queen. This is too glamorous for me. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Right, oh my God, a wig? I would never wear a wig.
All of these rhinestones. Are those diamonds? Oh, no, that's too glamorous for me. You really? Anyway, yeah, which I wrote that. I was like, oh, the mortician said it was too gruesome. Love that. And then the other thing I will note is Kevin early on set off my misophonia.
Okay,
because
so
they were
in my
like,
notes,
you're annoying. I think you're the traitor. And he was like, well, if I was a traitor, yeah. And he was like, which literally I was like, screaming my brain off. But he was like, well, if I was a traitor, I'd vote your fucking ass off.
I wish you could see my notes, Jamin. I wish you could see my notes because in all caps I wrote, Kevin, you're going to kill my brother.
Yeah. I said he would set my misophonia off. That was like my note. I'm like, oh my God. And they only show a piece of it. So if I lived with that guy, no, I literally would physically have to hurt him.
Oh no, he was very...
Other than how beautiful he is.
I wrote down.
I love to look at him and all those things, but no, I cannot listen to him eating. Oh my God, no.
Not when he has food in his mouth. I don't want to look at him.
No.
Bye.
So Larsa, who I didn't even know until they said her name, is banished. I had to look up where she's from. She's a Real Housewife of Miami. Well, good on you.
She's a Real Housewife.
Good on you. You must be one of the interesting ones.
Yeah, I think it's Janelle that put people in categories, and it was like, well, you have Bravo people over here, and the gamers over there, and then you have the faithful. That's how I categorize the people. And I'm like,
faithfuls, who I know are
those are the categories,
faithfuls.
Right, so none of the gamers are, and none of the Bravo people are. That's just in your mind. That was an interesting way of categorizing people, don't you think?
Because we know, we know who the traitors are. She did clock all the faithfuls correctly, so props to her. Yeah, and I think Poverty is definitely just. They're gonna offer her up like a sacrificial lamb. I hope that Phaedra turns to her and makes her burn, and Poverty remembers her words being like, oh no, Phaedra's just not the one. Phaedra doesn't have the heart. Phaedra can't do all the things. While Phaedra is watching her burn. I don't think... No, that's not going to happen now, because if you recall, literally, she looks at her and she goes, no one likes you, Poverty. It was like, whoa. Well, that's what I'm saying. Watch Phaedra do her stuff. The lines have been drawn. Watch Phaedra do her magic. Sure. That's what I'm saying. Poverty and John think they're real smart because there's two of them. Honey... I got my money still on Phaedra. There could be 5 traitors, and I would still have my money on Phaedra. First of all, can we talk about the fact that you've already forgotten the guy's name? It's Dan. Oh, Dan. What did I say, John?
Yeah,
Whatever.
but that's because it's another Gennaro,
Dan.
like insert white guy name here, right? Dan, Michael, John, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Chris.
Whatever. So that's it.
That's
yeah.
great.
So I think it's funny that Phaedra was like, I like people playing fair. And she doesn't think,
Yes.
that she was playing fair. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So I'm
Oh,
like,
but before
What?
we sign off on the Traitors, there was something that I wanted to specifically mention to you because I wanted to give you some credit for calling out something last episode.
oh, right. Yeah,
Because
I forgot.
You kept pointing out that Deontay was really upset, and I was like dismissing it, saying, "Well, boo-hoo,
Yeah.
like people cry because reality shows can do that to people." But in fact, if you notice, Deontay was not part of this episode,
Yeah.
and that's because he left, saying that he was
Yeah.
emotionally triggered. There are actually interviews out there.
Yeah, I looked up an interview. Yeah, I said all he would say is it pulled up childhood trauma.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It was all the deceitfulness and the lying and I guess it's that feeling of survival mode. And once you escape that feeling, it's really obvious when you're back in it. I think both of us have been in survival mode to know the difference between that feeling of you
Yeah.
can't sleep, you can't, because you're just, and I think he was immediately transported to a bad time in his life. And he
Yeah,
was
well,
like, I'm
he
out.
said that he was a part of basically offing people that he didn't want, i.e. Peppermint, and he couldn't believe that he was part of it. And then it happened again. And because he was like, hold up, I'm part of groupthink. And and groupthink, does horrible things. Yeah. So props to me
Yeah,
and
yo.
props to him.
That's right. Props to you for recognizing trauma.
And I can't wait to see Phaedra.
Good job.
I can't wait to see Phaedra no longer playing fair. That's all I got to say. Don't play fair, Phaedra. Let it go.
Phaedra, come out and play. Everyone
do
wants
it.
to see it. Eat these people's faces. Mm-hmm. Channel your inner bitch face killer.
Yes, ma'am. Tune in next week as we discuss episode 5 of 90 Day Fiance, The Single Life.
Yes, Tyree is finally back and ready to attack. And Chantel, of course, is still in Greece, hanging out with Mr. Football. Jamal and Tim continue their discussion. And Natalie offers to perform a Shakespearean sonnet at a dinner party. She is channeling a real-life Lucy Ricardo, and I'm here for it.
Oh my
I'm
God,
so
yeah.
excited for that.
Because she goes to a party with a real-life Hollywood producer. So
Yes.
I would like to speak Shakespeare for you.
I mean, you cannot write this unless you're the writers of I Love Lucy. I mean, who ever thought you would get to see this play out in real life? And it's happening.
So
I'm excited.
brilliant. It's very exciting. And of course, we will always continue to talk strategy, what we think they should have done with the production of the show, and intrigue with Traitors episode 5.
As usual, you can reach out to us via our website, sorry we're late, we didn't want to be here.com. Or you can find us on Instagram or Threads.
And Spotify.
Oh, and Spotify.
Yeah, you can listen to us and watch us on Spotify, so you can do both.
Oh,
You do
hey,
it all.
Look at that. You can just fill all of your orifices with us.
All your holes.
Face holes.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Acid Betty.
And I'm Acid Betty adjacent. And as we always say, hey Kevin, don't be such a Chad.
Bam, 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 bam.